Welcome everybody to Sin City Living. My name is Jason and I'll be bringing you today's episode. As always, please hit those like and subscribe buttons. We have a ton of content for you guys coming out every single week, every single day generally. Occasionally miss a day like I did during the rodeo that is still ongoing right now. And I hope all of our patrons out there are appreciating the patron-only exclusive videos we're putting out with the dice class, putting one out every couple of weeks. And if you're curious about that, go ahead and check the description down below. Once I get this whole live stream thing figured out, I'm probably going to do a live stream on the patron site as well. One on the regular site, one on the patron site. I do have the new computer for it. Theoretically, I have everything ready. I'm just so busy currently with this rodeo. And one of our fans asked a question a little while back about ways to tip us, to show appreciation to us without having to sign up as one of our patrons. And at the time we did not have any way of doing it, but I have managed now to get us signed up with a site called Buy Me a Coffee. As I'm sure some of you guys have noticed from some of our videos, Louie and I are both pretty heavy coffee drinkers. So if you're curious about that as well, go ahead and check down below in the description as well. We would definitely appreciate any cups of coffee you're willing to pick up for us. And don't forget to email us with any strategies, questions, suggestions, anything at all. We love shooting those videos for you guys. I actually haven't gotten a new email in about 2 weeks. And also, don't forget, anybody that may be interested in one of the small Sin City Living neons that we have, just email us that as well, sincitylivingLV@gmail.com. Otherwise, going to go ahead and get into today's episode.
What's going on, guys?
Welcome, everybody.
I'm Louie.
I'm Jason. And this is Crossfire on Sin City Living. So for today's video, obviously, we're doing Crossfire. And we're going to be answering an email that was sent to us with a suggestion for a Crossfire. By the way, thank you, everybody, for the coffees. I'm doing my candy coffee, the toasted white chocolate mocha that I've talked about before. It is definitely my favorite. So this email comes from Raina. This one is probably just going to be an interesting discussion for us. Question is, their main games, craps, hold'em, blackjack, and they talk about how they've tossed around the idea of when they retire becoming a dealer. And they say they think the biggest issue would be getting over the empathy of seeing people lose money that they can't afford to lose. And he or she, I'm not sure, asked, do you have a mindset that helped you harden up, quote unquote, or just over the years to just become numb to people losing from the games you may or may not have dealt for? So that's interesting. The first thing I'll touch on is dealing is actually an extremely popular profession for retirees. A lot of retirees go into dealing. I'd say a massive portion of the dealer population are in their 50s or 60s or even older. Popular for a number of reasons. One, it's easy, it doesn't take a whole lot. The entry level is really simple. I mean, you go to school for a few months, it doesn't cost you a whole lot of money, and you're almost guaranteed a job if you make it through the school. The schooling is not difficult. And typically retirees don't need a whole lot of money. They're just trying to supplement their income. They're fine with part-time. And a lot of times they're doing it just for the benefits, really.
Can I chime in on that in terms of older people getting into dealing?
Yeah. If you mention me, I'm going to slap you.
Oh, he is kind of old, but... No, but old people that get into... So there's old people that have been dealing forever and old people that are getting into dealing. There's a difference.
Old people that are dealing forever, oftentimes a little bit crabby.
Yeah, some of them are really crabby, but some of them are like the most down-to-earth people you'll ever meet. You'll get one of the two. There's kind of barely an in-between, but it's just one extreme, one really cool person.
Or totally burnt out.
Yeah, or totally burnt out. You get a lot of the old people who've been dealing forever. You'll see them on the center strip or local casinos, but then the old people that are just getting into dealing, you'll see them at the local casinos. They like their local crowds and stuff like that. You'll see them at a couple. Maybe you'll see some of them at the strip, but if you see an old person at the strip, more often than not, they've probably been there since the place opened up.
Yeah, they've been dealing for 20, 30, 40 years.
50 years, right?
Yeah, I know some people that have been in the industry for that long.
Yeah.
For sure. So to the actual question of is there any particular mindset or anything like that? There really isn't. I mean, the thing is, you've got a couple of things that come into play when you're dealing as far as, empathy towards the players. The first thing that tends to happen is after a few months of dealing, or typically when you get to your tier 2, your tier 3, when you get away from your break-ins, after 6 to 12 months of dealing, you land somewhere that has some burnouts. And when you get the burnouts, they actually kind of infect you with their mentality.
Yeah.
They very much have a anti-player mentality. They're jerks to the players. They're smart asses. They have zero patience for players that don't know how to play, or have bad strategies, or are just rude, or don't follow perfect procedures. And it does actually infect the other dealers. That's actually one of the hardest things to avoid moving into your career, is not getting infected by that mindset where you start being a jerk to the players, because you get this mindset of almost like us versus them, and it's the wrong mindset.
Right,
but,
I agree.
The thing is that there are a lot of annoying players, a lot of extremely annoying players.
Yeah.
And it's real easy for the line to start to blur. You're pretty firm with the annoying players, then you're kind of a jerk to the annoying players, then you're kind of encouraging the annoying players not to play anymore, and then it's the kind of sort of annoying player you're being a jerk to, then it's the not really annoying but just doesn't really know how to play that you're being a jerk to, then it's the one that does know how to play but doesn't play the way you think they should play, so you're being a jerk to them. And it really does just expand out that way. I see it all the frickin' time.
You got to avoid those people.
So yeah, you definitely got to avoid those burnout cases. You have to avoid that mentality, and everybody's going to have a point where they've had a week or two of just some of the worst players that you can imagine, and it wears on you, and you have to have that. You're going to reach that point, and then you kind of have a decision to make of what kind of mentality you're going to have as a dealer.
Right.
But when you get that mentality, when you start getting that, you definitely lose any empathy you may have for players.
Yeah.
But then the other side of it too is, you can't have empathy for the players, because this is something that, gambling is something that is supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
Yes, we have what they call the invisible addiction. That actually, there's been a lot of news articles about it during the pandemic, how it's really gone up, gambling addiction. But here in Vegas, at least, there's a lot of tools available for people that have gambling addictions.
When the fun stops.
And they got the When the Fun Stops and all these support groups.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you that every dealer knows at least minimum one, if not a dozen, dealers that have gambling addictions.
Oh yeah.
And that actually almost kind of helps to harden you up in a little bit, because you do realize that while it is, addictions, people don't have a lot of control over addictions. It's real easy to say, well, you just stop. Right. It's really easy. Non-smokers say that to smokers. Sober people say that to alcoholics.
Right.
It's really easy from the outside to say just stop, and from the inside, it's not so easy to do. However, we do have to understand that it's still a choice. People are still choosing to play, and people are actually choosing to not seek help. I know somebody that has a gambling addiction, and they know they have a gambling addiction. They've actually sought help in the past, and fell off the wagon. They weren't really serious about it, and their gambling addiction has drastically impacted their life, and they just recently started seeking help again. Well, you don't have the just stop gambling thing. You certainly have the choice to go talk to somebody, to seek help. If somebody doesn't, then there's nothing you can do, and that's entirely on them. It's entirely on them. You can't help your addiction, but you can help the decisions you make around that addiction.
Yeah.
So, it still all comes down to the fact that the people are choosing to be there. The other thing that I would say before I turn this over to Louis, because I have nothing else to say on this subject, is that in general, those people with those problem gamblers, that's that's such a tiny portion of what you see on a day-to-day basis that you don't need to quote-unquote harden up over it. Most of the players are either very serious players that have more than enough money that they can handle it, or they're the fun tourists that are just having a good time.
There you go, exactly.
So that's what you see day to day. Louis?
I wouldn't say I'm callous to it, but it's a job. You got to think of it as a job. I mean, it's just a part of it. People, like you said, they're taking the choice to go out and play, go out and gamble, have fun, whatever. Do I feel bad if they lose? I mean, it's not fun to watch somebody lose. Do I hope they lose? No.
Especially since our income is kind of dependent on
Right, exactly. If they do well, we do well. Now, granted, there's some players that you see that you're just sick and tired of. You're like, just win or lose already. I just go. Just win or lose already. Just go.
You've been here for 14 hours.
Go.
And you got on your $200 buy-in.
Yeah,
Come on.
go. Exactly. At that point, I just ugh. But it's not like people think, where you see just these crazy people coming in with like these super bad and terrible, addictions, where they're like, oh man, give me five. I gotta roll those dice. Oh man, I gotta take a hit of that card.
I do know a few people like that.
Granted, there are a few. Yes,
it is such a small percentage.
That's very true. It's not as bad as people think it is. More often than not, you'll see on the local scene, you'll see that more than you'll see at like the strip resorts. The reason for that is the people on the strip resort, they're there for a vacation.
Tourists.
They're tourists. Having fun. They come with what they came with. It's not like you see in the movies where people, oh yeah, I sold my plane tickets. I bet my house. That doesn't happen.
I sold my hair at the pawn shop. I mean,
yeah.
Come on, I can't remember what commercial that was.
Yeah, that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen.
Here's the thing to think of too. I before I got into this, I was in the bar, nightclub, and restaurant business, and bartenders don't worry about people coming in with alcohol addictions, and believe me, we see a lot more drunks than we see problem gamblers. And because again, it all comes down to a personal choice. While you can't do anything to help your addiction, you can choose to try and seek, try and talk to people about it. Restaurant servers don't sit there and have to harden up their mindset when they see people with an obvious eating problem.
Right.
Retail employees don't worry about the empathy when they see someone with a shopping addiction.
Oh yeah. I didn't think of that one.
I mean, there's pretty much every industry has people that have problems, but I mean, it's every industry, it's every job. So, there's not much you can do except do your job. Do your job and enjoy the people that you have, and generally people are there to have fun and have a good time.
At the end of the day, we're all adults. They're adults. They're making that decision on their own. It's if they lose their money, if they win their money, that's on them. How many times do we see people up thousands of dollars, hundreds of dollars, whatever it may be, and they choose to stay? And then there's the opposite end too. You see people that are up and that's it, I'm done.
Yeah, they take their winnings, they walk away, they go spend it on their husbands, because that's where you spend your winnings.
You spend it on the Louis. Come on now.
That's
spend it on Louis.
No, that's not where I was going with that.
No, spend it on Louis. Come on now.
That's where he's going with that. That's not where I was going with that.
I like shoes. I like shoes. I like
long walks on the beach.
Long walk. I like comic books. Buy me comic books. We'll get along real good.
So yeah, I mean, I hope this answers the question. I know we kind of rambled, but the thing is, there really is no answer to the question.
Right.
It's not. Everybody's different.
Right.
And yeah. Anything else on that subject?
Gotta have thick skin too. I mean, you got. You're gonna see people from time to time. You're gonna see some sad things. Like you're gonna see the people with like the real problems. But then it's very far few in between.
It really is.
So just don't really think about it. I mean, because it doesn't happen that often. I mean, yeah, you're gonna see somebody, but you're gonna be like, oh dang, that's sad, and then you'll get over it.
Because you've got everyone else out there having fun.
Right, you got hundreds of other people to worry about. That's all I got.
All right. Well, everybody, thank you very much for watching. Thank you, Brandon, for sending us this email. Mm-hmm. And we will catch you guys next time.
Bye.
I'm Jason.
Louis.
Bye now. All right. So, as I promised, I wanted to go over very briefly our upcoming attempts at a third test live stream. So what's happened so far? The first test live stream just flat didn't work. The problem that I had was was an equipment problem. I had an equipment problem in that the equipment that I was using to translate the camera into streamable video to the computer required a better USB port than the computer I was using at the time. So that one just flat failed because it would not translate into the computer. The computer would not pick it up, would not read it, so I wasn't able to live stream it. So then, as I was looking through, because I'm a little bit of a tech head, as I was looking through all of my other stuff, because I do have 4 laptops here and 3 computers, I did find one that actually did have the newer style USB port. Unfortunately, it was actually my oldest laptop, but I figured, what the heck, let me give it a shot. What's the worst that can happen? And this time around, when I fired everything up, the video was actually translating onto the computer, so things were looking better. But then when I attempted to live stream, the computer was not powerful enough to be able to translate it and then upload it sufficiently. So it basically just uploaded a blank screen for the live stream. So what I am going to have to do is, and I'm already looking into all of my options, I'm going to upgrade my computer so I can add, what, a 7th, 8th computer to my household. And I'm going to go much, much higher, and I'm going to get a computer that is far more than I need for this, far, far, far more powerful than I need for this. That way, any future upgrades that I may do, the computer will be able to handle it. So unfortunately, this computer is going to cost me about 25% more, about 25% of what I've already laid out in all the equipment for this channel. So it wasn't something I could just instantly buy. I'm probably looking at Black Friday or Cyber Monday. So hopefully I have it within the next couple of weeks, and then I'll do another test live stream and see if I can go from there. So I will definitely do at least one weekly live stream on our Patreon because they're the ones that are really helping us get this computer. And the other equipment that I'm going to get, because I figure if I'm buying the computer, I might as well buy the most high-end capture cards and things along those lines, get everything as good as possible, and then hopefully eventually get a better microphone for you guys. So yeah, that's where we stand on the live stream. As soon as I have the computer and I do the test, which will be in a few weeks, like I said, I've got to order it in a week or two, then I have to wait for it to ship. Plus we have probably the biggest event of the year coming up, the NFR National Finals Rodeo. So I'm basically working 2 weeks straight, as is my wife. So not going to have a whole lot of time. But once we get all that under control, then we'll figure out. There's been some schedule changes to myself, some schedule changes to my wife, and some upcoming schedule changes to my wife as well. So hopefully we can get all the scheduling figured out so I know when I'll be able to live stream as well. My initial plan of Thursdays at 6 o'clock is already out the window. I'm at work at that point now. So we will get it all figured out, and we will let you guys know, I promise. And otherwise, I hope you guys have found this interesting, enlightening, illuminating, or at least just plain fun. And we will catch you guys next time. Bye now.